Good evening and welcome to Nycos Nightly News with your host, Not on Purpose. Glad to have you with us tonight. We have so much stories to go about, so much information to share, and we're going to get right into it in just a moment. But before that, make sure you like and subscribe because we want to keep bringing this news to you every week from the campaigns of Nycos. Alrighty, so this has been a blockbuster of a week. We have so much information to share that it is absolutely unbelievable. I'm Not on Purpose, and I'm with you from the Gnome News Network, and we bring you the most wonderful violence on a weekly basis, and the chaos that ensues within the games of Nycos are just amazing. If you haven't yet, check out our Patreon to become a part of our community and thereby become a player in our world and help us to shape the direction of this more than 50-year campaign. Alrighty, so we're going to go right to the reporter. We'll be talking with the general of the Western Front and getting most of the information directly from him. That is, of course, General Des Turbans. So let me get to him just a moment. We'll be right there. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere. Right, jolly good. Good to have you with us. I am the General Des Turbans, and I have great information for you from both the Eastern Front, Western Front, and even some very interesting information coming from the Southern reporters. So let's get directly into it, shall we? As you may recall, our intrepid adventurers of the Sunday group, making sure I get it right, yes, the Sunday group, has been spending a good deal of time with the Empress of Nyx and the other people of the Fey realm. As a matter of fact, there was rumored to have been a meeting directly between Stormcrow and the king of the Fey court, which is amazing. I mean, he was able to come back within a lifetime, which is quite surprising given how long he has been away. They have made estimates between 3,000 and 6,000 years since Stormcrow last set foot in his own home country. And so it was somewhat of a homecoming, but at the same time, a rather nerve-wracking period. The good news is to say that the transition now has been formally completed. The governance has made a peaceful transition, and the Empress has abdicated her position, taking up a subject role and repositioning herself with a new title. What was that? I'm getting the reports just in now on the title change, and give me a moment, please. Yes. We're almost there. There's so many names to go over. So many notes. I'm glad that I'll be able to cut this down on YouTube because I'm ditching it really badly here. Here we go. Her now formal title is Her Majesty Aneris Arwellin, Third Seat, Protector of the Fey Court, and Counselor Prime of the Lieutenant. This term is new to our reporters, and so it caused some confusion, but it appears to be the Lieutenant is a term that refers to the last of the elves. And this person, this singular individual who is now claiming to be the last of the elves, is taking command of the martial forces, but the fact that the Protectorate of the Fairy Court is not part of his title suggests that the Nixian personnel will be remaining to defend the city itself, and that his title may indeed be a much broader one referring to the other species. Now, there has been additional developments within the city of Nyx. Our reporters have received rather detailed information from an unassailable source that suggests that there may actually be the forming of a conclave, that is, a governmental agreement between formal nations of the world of Nykos in support of the Luthenans' claims against the Mortal Kingdom, or rather, in particular, the Middle Kingdom's unification under the Imperator. With that in mind, if that is really what's going on, then the city of Nyx may very well become a Byzantine magnet for individuals and operatives from many other nations. And so we do wish to support, from the standpoint of the individuals of the Kingdom of Havoc, our personal nation of the Gnomes, to remain outside of the area unless you have specific business with the nobles here, because it may become very dangerous. There are rumors that the enjoined may be involved in this seeming governmental issue, and so we just urge that if you are not at the level of the enjoined, please remain out of the city if you can. Now, we've been assured by Captain Inglorian of the Nyxian Palace Guard and the military attaché to the Lieutenant that there will not be any violence in the streets, but it has been a tense several weeks as we have identified representatives from fully 7 kingdoms within the boundaries of the city in this very time of imbalance within the Eldrin Imperial Court. Having said that, therefore, we're going to be continuing to follow this story and bring more information to you. Now, there is something that is important to mention about this, and that is, pardon me. It appears that for the first time in a great long time, the Queen of Cryopathia has made a physical appearance and is allegedly committed to unifying this conclave. And if that's true, then we may be looking at a complete hegemonic change within the sect-gen populations, as this is completely the reverse of what the Queen in the past has been in terms of her isolation. As a matter of fact, there are rumors that there are attachés from the Cryopathian government making their way even now to the Eldrin cities of Inandera to speak with the Empress there. Empress, let me see her name. Again with the names thing. Empress Lalida Verilon of Inandera, of the city of Oldhome, and, ironically, the Counselor Varus Ducalion of the Elchris Consortium apparently may be involved in this conclave business, and we have no proof of that at this point. But the appearance of Lady Catelyn Delanoir and the signing of this alleged document suggests that there may indeed be involvement on a much more broad spectrum basis than we thought possible. One other note is that it also appears that, completely unbeknownst to the people of Nyx, there was among them an attaché, a representative of the Aruk populations of Shantroa, who also lent his name to this alleged document. And we are sending our reporters out to try to gather additional information about this. But if this is true, it will also be a weather change for the Aruk, for they haven't had a war chief worthy of the name in more than 2 iterations. It goes all the way back to potentially the 6th iteration that before we find an Aruk worthy of unification of the clans. This in part, of course, to the horrible tragedy that befell in the middle of the 7th iteration, where their entire livelihood was demolished and destroyed by Harold's call. But we will deal with that as we go forward if we gain any additional information. Again, these stories are speculative at best. So before we go any further, let's move on to our next group, shall we? All right. So we are now going to move our conversation across the world to the area of Bastion. And this border city that is nearest to what is believed to be the lost Ziggurat has been a point of contention for some time. It does appear that the Queen of Cryopathia and her retinue may have actually passed through here along with the person now that is bearing the name Luthanin. And so there is a huge potential that Bastion may actually become a target of the unified forces of the Imperator, having been so directly involved with them. Now, Bastion itself is, as its name might represent, a bastion of safety, freedom, and liberty, and is known to be of the Prismatic Church, in particularly the Order of Genera, and therefore the Generine priests have established a hands-off approach to anyone who visits the city and have provided cover and solace to the enemies of the Imperator. So this may end up being a hotbed of danger in the future. However, to bring us up to modern time, the individuals who were a part of the Strangers in a Strange Land... Oh, I'm sorry. I almost said that wrong. The Skiffborn have been here for some time. They last week embarked on their path leading towards the nearby Ziggurat, as indicated on the map here. But they unfortunately seem to have run into problems, and their vessel literally ran afoul of the dangerous terrain of the Shattered Stones. And they spent several harrowing days literally on the mountainside trying to get the vessel repaired so that they could escape from those high points. There are several reports that there may have been dragons involved, as well as some possibility of either Urglik or Grolim actions in the area. But those are only speculative. Our reporters were not able to get another conversation with them since the activation of the lawsuits concerning their recent visit to the city, wherein our operative is now on paid leave pertaining to that. Additionally, they had some tragedy befall them, and there were considerable numbers of injuries. Perhaps they will be able to tell us about that should we get a public report next week, but we will see about that possibility. That's still up in the air at this point. But just be aware that Bastion is still liberated and free from the Imperator's clutches. There are no indications of any warfare in the region, and the personnel of the injunction. Oh, one important note: there was a major upheaval within one of the local inns this very night, in that Albion, one of the well-established enjoined, had spent some time invoking the powers of Phalan, in particular of Fuergus, and had been noted to be writing runes upon the mantelpiece of the inn's community fireplace. And something that he saw within the flames did concern him, to the point where he invoked yet another ritual and literally walked into the flames, to a burst of energy that nearly caught the building on fire. Several witnesses claim to have seen him walk into a field of battle wherein a dragon was in the sky, drawing his sword and stepping forward, but there are no corroborating reports on that. We have not yet gotten a chance to talk to the other enjoined of the party, and we will endeavor to do so once we get the restraining order lifted from us that prevents us from talking directly to the members of the adventuring party. So let's move our next thought over to our group on Monday evenings, which is the Strangers in a Strange Land. The last remaining member of that group, Melchior, has taken his group into the Malachite hold beneath the city, with the express intent of liberating several dozens of Primus Eldrin. And they spent a couple of weeks in engaging the persons who are holding them. They have determined those that are holding them to be, if I recall correctly, a combination between... I'm really not certain that I can have that information. My report here seems to be devoid of that detail, but nonetheless, there are confirmations that they have indeed liberated at least one Primus Eldrin, which has fundamentally validated their claim that the Eldrin are being held against their will. These are the refugees who have been escaping from the fires of the what is now known as the what did we? My brain is shaky even tonight. I'm trying to remember what we called it, but the burning of the Silver Blades is continuing, and the Eldrin population that had escaped from there had been fleeing into the local communities of Potiphar, Anchorage, even into Old Home, and some have reached as far as Florin, even some claiming to have been transited as far as Nyx. But in the case of the personnel that had been liberated into Potiphar, it appears that they were provided solace by the Potiphar city government, who then provided them housing within the city walls. But when it was discovered that they could not be found, that it seems that the city's government had arranged to take that Eldrin population, some 48 individuals, hostage, imprisoned them, and had taken them into the city beneath the boundaries of Potiphar, known as the Malachite Fortress. And even as they liberated that individual, it was determined that they had also eyewitnessed the destruction of the entire rest of that population in a major conflagration, apparently set off by the enemies that the group had run into, which apparently, if I recall correctly, were Berlin. But that's not yet been confirmed. We will find more information about that before our next report. Now, in addition to this, we do have to mention the fact that there is now a bounty placed upon the recently recovered nameplate of the Arcan Eye. It appears that a coalition of governances, including Mercia, Neomoria, and Swarthier, have offered, through the beneficence of a single individual known only as the Blue Duke, to take possession of that nameplate and from that dispatch a team to rescue the Arcan Eye. Now, this crew that is being set up to do so are themselves not in particular associated with the enjoined who did make the trek, but instead seems to be associated with the Order of the Seven Sea Princes of Barbas. So we will find more information as that goes forward as well. Our final note of information is that there also, as reported by the eyewitnesses in Bastion, it does appear that there are dragon attacks now being recognized in several locations across the continents. That includes Grolland, Yarlum, and Nordlum. So if there are indeed dragons active in this period, it does give credence to the possibility that the seeker may soon find that which he seeks. But we'll have more information on that in our next report. I want to thank you for being here, and I hope that we've shared enough information to keep you interested. If you are liking what you see, make sure you follow us on Twitch. Also, subscribe both on Twitch and on YouTube, because it really helps the channel remain a daily channel. And also, make sure, if you get an opportunity, to check out our Patreon account at patreon.com. And if you join there and become a supporter, you gain the opportunity to play with us in our games groups on Saturday and Sunday. Remember, we do broadcasts every 10 a.m. and 11 p.m. Monday through Friday, all in Pacific time. And we also run roleplay games on Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 1 p.m. for our Patreon supporters. So, again, thank you for watching. We hope to see you next time, and keep them rolling, and we will talk soon.